Can the Celtics make a run to the top spot in the East? Time now for the playoff picture, brought to you by MassMutual. Plan today, feel comfortable tomorrow. NBC News' Steve Kornacki is here to break down the numbers. Steve, thanks for joining us. Let's just get right into it. You got the Celtics currently in third place in the Eastern Conference, one game back of the Heat, who are in first. You also have Milwaukee in the mix. So what do the numbers say about where they might finish?
Yeah, third place, a very fluid third, as you can see when you call the standings up on the screen here. I mean, look at all four of these teams separated by a game and a half. Obviously, last night, a consequential game there with Philly and Milwaukee. Milwaukee getting the win, bumping them up a little bit. Let's zoom in on this race for the top seed. Four teams going for that top seed right now. And the folks at Basketball Reference have some odds, some probabilities on who's going to land with that one. And they still list right now Miami as the most likely to end up with a top seed, a 41% chance Miami ends up with a top seed. They actually list the Celtics with the second best chance, 30%. The Bucks moving up with that win over the Sixers last night, a 22% chance. And then the Sixers, by virtue of that loss to the Bucks, falling just a 6% chance right now that the Sixers end up with the top seed. But obviously you could see how consequential tonight's game is for the Celtics and the Heat. Look, if the Heat win the game, suddenly the Celtics are 2 games behind the Heat. Actually, I think Boston, just based on the percentages, would fall down to 4th place. The odds on getting that top seed obviously would drop probably pretty dramatically for Boston. Conversely, if the Celtics win, they're going to have the same record as the Heat. They're going to have the tiebreaker with the Heat. They're going to have the second seed for the moment, only a fraction of a percentage point behind Milwaukee, and a real chance coming out, maybe the best statistical chance of any of these teams of landing with the top seed. So take a look here just at the remaining schedules here. See if we can get these up here. The remaining schedule here for Boston, you could see what's left and obviously what stands out here. I think in particular, just given what we talked about, that game against the Bucks, second to last one, that could go a long way here towards deciding who finishes where. And just to compare it to the remaining schedules for those other 2 teams right now in the thick of that race there. But look at that for the Celtics, obviously finishing there with the Bucks, huge game. And then the Grizzlies, that could be incredibly consequential too. And depending on what the Grizzlies have to play for motivation-wise coming into the game, that could be a challenging one for the Celtics too. But a big opportunity tonight to emerge potentially with a real chance at that top seed.
Clearly a ton of moving parts, which is why we continue to talk about matchups. And a lot of people want to bring up the Brooklyn Nets. And could they be a first-round matchup? Where does it look like the Brooklyn Nets are going to finish?
Yeah, this is what a wild card it is for the Nets here. So you could see they're in the 8th spot right now. They're in that 7, 8, 9, 10 play-in realm right now. Overwhelmingly likely the Nets are going to be in the play-in round. Normally you wouldn't talk about them as being a huge threat, but obviously it's a transformed team right now. So let's take a look at it this way. What are the odds for the Celtics and Nets getting into seeds where they could potentially meet each other? The 1 versus the 8, the 2 versus the 7, the 3 versus the 6. The Celtics right now coming into tonight, as I said, 30% chance of finishing with that number 1 seed, 28% chance of finishing with that 2, and a 24% chance of finishing with the 3 seed. Take a look at it from the Nets standpoint. Again, overwhelmingly likely they're in the play-in round. There's a 1% chance they actually jump up to the 6 seed before the season ends and then would play the 3 seed in the first round. Otherwise, they're in that messy play-in round where a lot of things can happen. One of the things that could happen is the Nets could just miss the bracket. They could lose in the play-in round and they could be done. But Basketball Reference again says 26% chance that they end up with the 8 seed, 29% chance that they end up with the 7 seed coming out of that play-in round. So again, if you're Boston, if you're any team in the East and you're getting nervous about the Nets getting that 1 or 2 spot, you got a real chance you're going to be facing off against Kevin Durant there in the first round.
All right, well, I guess we'll have to take that as it comes. And speaking of the play-in rounds, we're in Boston, so why not take a quick look at one of our favorite Western Conference teams, the Los Angeles Lakers. And, at this point, are they even going to make the play-in?
Well, I guess if there's a word for the Lakers' playoff chances after last night, it would be bleak. Take a look here at the Western Conference standings, and you got to go all the way down. There's the Lakers now. They are sitting outside of that top 10, and you can see, key here, just a 28% chance now that they're going to land inside the top 10 and be part of that play-in round, basically meaning there's a 72% shot, almost 3 out of 4, that the Los Angeles Lakers miss the playoffs. So if you've got one of those old beat LA signs hanging around there. Maybe you want to take that out and wave that triumphantly, or at least get ready to. Not looking good for the Lakers.
No, it is not. All right, Steve, thank you so much. We're excited to see how it all plays out. That was the playoff picture presented by Mass Mutual. Playoff level protection for what matters most.